any announcements or anything that's just, something?
I do, Anita. This is Michelle.
Yeah.
I actually have a couple fun things. I
Okay.
started an Instagram account for Facebook, an Instagram account for Paperworks.
Oh my
So
goodness.
there's one whole post on there, so feel free to add that, and I'll start posting things along with Facebook. And Joe or whoever, Anita, I was thinking it would be fun to do a hashtag for our poetry challenge so that we could start tagging, if people are doing book progress photos on Instagram. So I don't know what makes sense, but I was thinking maybe Paperworks Imagine, spelled the way you guys have it spelled, or Paperworks Poetry Challenge or something to that effect, so we can start posting our photos with the hashtag around this exhibit. I'll put some ideas in the chat and people can add something, and we'll settle on something before the meeting ends.
Great idea.
Okay, well, that's awfully exciting. That's very exciting. And
I
kind of
know.
shocking even, maybe. All right. Wow. Wow.
Hi, Laura, and
Hi,
hi,
everybody.
everyone new. Oh, Sherry,
Hi.
the other Anderson.
Yeah, right.
Swedish Anderson.
Yes, this Swedish.
Well, I have an announcement about a flat file that I'm trying to get out of my studio. It's a great 5-drawer flat file, $100. If anybody's interested,
I am.
White wood.
let me know. It's white metal. It's not
Oh,
as
metal.
heavy as
Okay.
the wooden
Oh, it's white
ones.
metal.
So we can talk and get it to you. But I need help carrying it because I had an incident with a chainsaw and I hurt my back.
Oh,
No.
I have a husband with a truck.
Excellent.
It's a
Okay.
pretty good combination.
It is. I love it. Okay,
Very
we'll
good combination.
make a trade.
Glad your incident didn't end up in dismemberment.
That's right. Just tweak my back.
Michelle, what is the Paperworks account in Instagram?
Oh,
Because
good-
there's
good
like
point. I'll
10.
put it in the chat, but it's at
Okay.
Paperworks Tucson, but I'll put it in the chat too.
So now can we go to the website, the Paperworks website, and get on it through there or not?
I have not sent it to Sherry yet or to Ann yet to put on the website, but I will. I just got it up, I think, yesterday. But yeah, eventually, yes, Anita, but it's not there yet.
Oh, no problem. And then that everybody will kind of know how to work it when they go there, do you think?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, great. That's fabulous, Michelle. Thanks for that. That's really
Yay.
Got 3 followers now.
Whoa, look at that.
It's
See if we can get it to
overfollow.
10 by the end of the day.
Let's see. 10:04. I guess we should get started, huh?
Oh, 2 more people coming in.
Okay, well, let's wait a second. Yeah. I don't want to start, Ann's going to start us off. I don't want to start with Ann and then we don't have everyone here. So let's see. Oh, there's Mabel. Hi, Mabel.
Hi.
Hi, Sherry Anderson.
Hi, Mabel.
Hey, Sherry or Sherry?
Cherie,
Huh?
Sorry, I've said it wrong.
that's okay.
How do you say it?
Cherie, like Ma Cherie.
Oh, of course.
It's
I mean, that's how
easy to remember, yeah.
it's spelled that way. Sherry. All right, we're gonna
Yeah.
get a little French coming in here. That's
Yep.
okay. Let's see. So our lineup. I will tell you what the lineup for today is. Ann Stevens is going to start us off. Lynn will give a little. Vicky D. I call her Vicky D. Vicky Donkersley. And Michelle Vaughn, Doreen, and Judy will follow there. And so I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Does anybody else want to be a part of this today as their 5 minutes that so far that's here? Diana, anybody? Yes, your hand is up. Does that mean you would like 5 minutes or so?
She's muted.
Unmute, Diana, unmute.
Hmm.
There we go. Okay, now can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
I had unmuted. I mean, why wouldn't I want to join in and have everybody hear me? Anyway,
did you want to share something today?
I can share something. I have a question about something that probably won't take longer
All
than,
right, I'm going to put you after Judy, okay?
okay.
Anybody else? Right now, we'll have some maybe time at the end. Okay, that sounds good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people, and we'll have, so I'll get my watch out and kind of keep track of the time. All right. Anybody else want to say something before we get started? Okay. All right, Ann.
All right. Well, I got about 6 ideas and I need help deciding which ones to concentrate on. So here they are. First is what I'm calling a song titles book. Use song titles to form poems. And I was thinking like 4 poems, 2 based on pop songs, 1 on musicals and 1 on Disney. And the structure would be sort of like an old 45 RPM record album with the song title poems like the grooves of the record. So you would read it around and around in a circle. And I did the Disney one and then I got stuck with the rest because I had too many song titles. But anyway, the Disney one says, I just can't wait to be king. Baby mine, a dream is a wish your heart makes. Hi ho, feed the birds a spoonful of sugar. Chim chim chiree, whistle while you work, step in time. Friends like me, be our guest. Jolly holiday, let's go fly a kite, Hakuna Matata. A whole new world under the sea, being green. Someday my prince will come. Can you feel the love tonight? Bella Notte. Bibbidi bobbidi boo, be prepared. Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? Beauty and the Beast, you've got a friend in me. Zippity doo dah, the bare necessities, I love to laugh. Circle of life, when you wish upon a star, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. So anyway,
Wow.
and then
I love that.
That's wonderful.
I know, I
Talk
love
about
that.
imagine. Oh my
I
goodness.
love it.
That
so,
brain crazy with imagining. Oh, seven.
and then the next was, I was thinking like I've got a whole bunch of star poems I've been collecting because I just kind of like them, and then put them in a star book. So I got poems by Frost and Angelou and Whitman and Stevenson and a bunch of others. So that was another idea. And then the next one is what I'm calling a word factory. What I was gonna like put a type tray, make a little type tray, put it in a dictionary, in a niche in a dictionary. And it's sort of and then fill all the little spaces with letters. It's sort of a select your letters and form your own words kind of thing. So that's as far as I've gotten on that one. And the next one is A to Z and back again. I've been kind of obsessed with alphabet books. And this one I figured, well, I could do something like a la Edward Gorey with a dos-a-dos binding, and this would be the miniature. And I got 2 poems. Amiel bookbinder Coraline designs elegant folios, gathering historical information, judging, kerning, letting, margins, noting old puny quartos require subtle typeface upgrades, variable width X height, young, zesty. So it's each word, it's a 26 word poem and each one begins with the letter of the alphabet. And then going the other way, I've got Zany Yolanda, xylophonist wannabe, vivacious, unrelenting, teaches students random, quick percussion ostinatos. New musical lines keep jingling in her, goes forth every day creating beautiful audios. You know, Edward Gorey cheated. He didn't use an X word for the X sound. He uses an X sound word. So he would have like explain or expand or something.
Oh, but you use xylophone.
I used real X words.
Good for you.
So, and the next one is and self-portrait, finish using adjectives that describe me, starting with I am, and then just each page would have a different adjective. Like, I got a whole bunch of them, but a few of them are artistic, musical, lazy. And then you put one per page, and the pages would be like head shaped. And the cover, most likely a posterized version of me, and probably some kind of single page binding and mounted in a tabletop picture frame. So it looks like a picture. And the last one is I'm calling Teenage Angst. I was going through a whole bunch of nostalgia stuff and ran across a bunch of poems I wrote in high school. I got 14 of them. And so I was thinking about like a collage for each poem. And I've got a sample here. This is one that you can actually probably, I saved this from high school. This is the actual one I did in high school. And it reads, at twilight, the fading pink struggle through your dirty panes. You let the world in under the moon glow at night. Unable to sleep, I stare through you at a world of dreams.
Oh.
So,
You've been writing poetry a long time now. Okay.
well, I wrote it in high school, and then none. None until I did that little A to Z and back again thing. So anyway.
So
But-
just quick, sorry, go.
Go ahead.
No,
Go ahead, Anita.
No, this is your stage. I just have a comment though, for sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, you're for the fee, the entry fee, you can do up to 3 books. I mean,
Yeah.
would you do, I couldn't do all of that myself, but can you, is that something that you might want to do? 3 out of these?
Well, what I thought I'd do is pick 3 and see which ones I could get done in time and do those. So the A to Z and back again, I'm almost 2/3 finished. I've got the poems set and picked a font, and I've got the cover started, and I know what size and everything. So that's pretty close to done. And it's, you know, it's tiny. It's a one thing deal for, it's really little. And then of course, the Teenage Angst, I've got all the poems and they're all handwritten. So I was thinking if I did a collage page, I could just transfer the handwritten stuff from high school to the handwritten stuff on a collage page. And the self-portrait thing is pretty easy, just cutting out pages with a word on it. So that's, you know, it just depends. The star poems probably would take pretty much the most time, I'm thinking, because of and then the word factory thing that'd be the last thing I'd probably tackle, because I've never done that before. And that would take the most time.
Do you want some feedback from the group on what?
Yes,
it's like?
yes.
I don't, is that dangerous? I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I mean, what do you think would be the most successful being accepted as far as, you know, because the song titles is somebody else's words.
It's okay.
and-
There's nothing wrong with that, as long as they're.
Okay,
As long as they're kind of copyright free. I mean, are they in the public domain and stuff?
well, it's just
I
the
think they
title,
are, aren't
so
they?
I don't know. You know, I know if you write a book and you quote something, you have to get permission. But I don't know about song titles just thrown together. You see them plastered all over everywhere. So I don't know. And I don't plan on selling mine anytime soon, so I'm not going to profit from it.
Disney is pretty strict.
That's what I
Pretty
was thinking. That
strict,
might not be
yeah.
the best one to do.
Oh, Judy.
Well, I thought that when you just explained them, the one that had the most energy was the alphabet and back again. And I really like the and back again.
Okay.
The alphabet is a kind of a predictable thing that a lot of printers and artists and people do. But back again, that was really a I loved your words, and I love the ones you picked out. And that had the most energy in it. From my
Oh.
point of view.
Thank you.
And it was
All right.
so original. I think original works are so much stronger if the work isn't like, if it has some, like inclusions from another line from another author or a title from a song or whatever, but I feel like ones that are completely composed of things like that, while they can be extremely interesting because you're seeing them, those elements juxtaposed in ways that they aren't in the original versions, I think what comes out of your mind and your heart, and I don't mean just you, Anne, I mean like in general. I think those are stronger works.
Okay.
Okay, and one more, we can do one more very quick comment if you want, Anne. Does anybody else? Joe, you've got something.
Yeah, I would have to say that the teenage angst one really draws me in. They don't sound like teenagers actually, but you were very mature for your age maybe, but I like that idea, and maybe even some juxtaposition of where you're at with that concept now. Just a thought. Like this was then, this is me now.
Yeah, I've got a few, poor me, nobody loves me poems. Typical teenage girl stuff. My uncle died my senior year, so I've got a couple on death. And I think there's one on war. I had a couple of friends in Vietnam. My uncle was in Vietnam. So, there's more than just fluff.
Yeah.
Poor pitiful me, nobody loves me poems.
All right. Hey, well, Anne, maybe you could report back next month and
I will.
Give us a little more and what's going on there.
Okay, will do.
It's almost impossible to tell somebody what's going to be the most successful. I mean, it's just, but I think you've got some grand ideas and off you go. So
All right.
thank you.
Great. Thank
very
you.
much. That's
Thanks.
spinning brain here. All right. Let's move on to Lynn.
Okay, well, I have two very brief poems to share. I'm going to read the first one, which was written last month, and it doesn't even have a title yet. And then I want to do a screen share of just an image, because the next poem came from an image that I created that's really, it's on a very tiny piece of paper, and I'm not going to do a slideshow or anything, just one image. But I thought it would be nice to follow up with a couple poems that are probably going to go into the Solastalgia book. So here's the first one, written last month. Crinkled straw saguaros, desert solstice incineration, no running water, no bleeding toads, old memories of rain, birds pant in trees, hot winds kick up dust, a tired sigh, sultry sulfur sky burns down. And I don't have a title for that one yet, but it was on one of those days that we all experienced last month, which were kind of dire. Okay, now I'm going to share screen. Oops. Okay, can you guys see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. This was a tiny little kind of experimental thing. My husband and I went on a hike in Sabino Canyon very early this year. I forgot to put a date on it, but it was still quite chilly. So I'm thinking it was kind of like January, February-ish. And I wanted to see what it would be like to just take small, tiny, I think it's 130-pound watercolor paper and do like little tiny things on it. Because when you're in a large environment, it's very hard to, in a short period of time, distill something down in order to get it on paper without driving yourself insane. So I've learned to just focus on small, tiny aspects of where I am that still make me feel the place and remember that I was there. And I'm interested in stitching, so I thought I might try to fool around with that. The stitching you see there is linen, and it's been, some of it was dyed with indigo and some of it was dyed with pigment I made from the char mud that washed down from Bighorn fire. I dyed quite a bit of yarn with that. figured out how to make a die out of it. And while I was doing this picture, this is the poem that came to mind, and I wrote it on the back and then kind of curated it a little bit after I got home. Memory of water in Rattlesnake Canyon. Dry canyon waiting for rain. Mica glitter on bare toes. Cool sand. Heel woodpecker taps secret code somewhere inside saguaro. Furry fly buzzes by. Quiet. Chilly breeze. Dry canyon waiting for rain.
Wow.
I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. It's beautiful. Both, I love the little art with the stitches.
Yeah.
Gives
Yeah,
it so
me
much
too.
texture.
Yeah, I did that and I was like, what am I going to do with this thing? So I've just been holding on to it for quite a while. And then it happened to be laying near the pages that I'm making for the Solastalgia book. And I thought, oh, maybe I could just like attach it in there and have the poem with it. It'll
And I
really
like that
stand
you
out.
used the fire,
Mm.
that
Oh,
die
that
you
was-
made.
that
That was
was
really
fantastic.
interesting.
I was walking and saw it after the first months and only monsoon rain last year. And I was walking on part of the loop and saw it, smelled it, and was just driven with a need to do something that would honor what happened. I mean, I just realized that mud carries everything that was burned in the fire, every mineral, plant, animal, the sweat from the workers that were trying to put it out. And so I just went down there and gathered a whole bunch of it. And I didn't have any bags, so I ran up to these young people walking a dog, and here I am, this sweaty older woman with no hair. I'm like, oh my God, do you have an extra poop bag? And then I realized what that sounded like. And then I explained, I thought, what do I say to rectify this? And I was just like, I'm an artist. And they go, oh, I see the mud down there. I want to gather it. So anytime you say something weird and wanky and people look at you like, oh my God, just say, well, I'm an artist. And they go, oh, it's all okay.
Thank you for that. That was great. And just real quick, I'm not going to comment on everyone, but Lynn, your writing is so much like you.
Wow, thank
And
you.
that's not always true with every poet. Some of their personalities or the way they are in the world is not like how they write. But yours, yes.
Wow, Rita, thank you. I've never,
Yes.
that's a really cool comment and compliment. And I thank you. I like
I'm
that.
talking about your syntax. I'm talking about your phrasing, your words that you're choosing. Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal. So anyway, all right. Thank you so much. I think we
Thank you
better
for letting me
move
share
on.
that.
I think I'm going to move on, and I will probably have to cut some people off just so we can get through these. And we can always come back if we have time at the last to come back and visit, okay? All right, good. It's hard not to spend a lot of time. Hey, Vicky, you're up.
Okay. Okay. My book form is going to be like this little expandable thingamajig. I think it's going to be about this size, which is like 6 by 18 if it's totally stretched out. It may be a little higher. So right now I'm working on my prototypes. And one of my totems is the night blooming cereus. It just has a lot of personal meaning for me. So I just do work again and again that deals with the night blooming cereus. So here's my little prototype. And so it's double-sided. And I've got 12 stanzas. And so right now, I'm going to try to print on my printer the stanzas kind of above the imagery. And my printer has some limitations. And so I guess what I would like to know from my my fallback is to write it by hand, to write the stanzas by hand. But I just have a terrible fear of getting to panel 12 and like missing a word or, you know, getting dyslexic or whatever, which I could always do over, but there's a lot, you know, involved. So my question is, if I wanted to print on something else, and this is watercolor. So if I wanted to print on a different type of something that I could then apply to the book in some form, is everybody following me?
Yeah.
I have an idea right away if you
I
want,
do
if you'd
too.
like to hear it.
Wait,
I gotta grab mine, so someone else go first.
wait just a second. I don't think Vicky was quite done with her
No,
thought there.
no, that's okay. No, I'm good.
Okay.
I found that some of the things I've done is I pick the size font I want and what it looks like, and I print it on the printer on plain paper in the size that I want it to appear on the work. Then I trace it with tracing paper. And then you turn the tracing paper over and you trace what you've traced and turn it back over, and then it becomes like a carbon paper, or you can use carbon, and then you just trace onto your work, and then you can letter it without fearing that you're going to leave out a word or misspelling something because you've already proofed it with the computer. And you can get really tiny fonts on the computer, so you can make it any size you want that will fit into the space that you need. And if you want to make it kind of wonky, kind of adjust that on the computer to get an idea of where your words might go. But tracing paper's been my friend for a long time now, because you can get all kinds of nice lettering that way without, you know, messing up too much.
So I'm curious. So you print out the words.
Yes.
And then how do you use some kind of carbon paper or something?
You can use graphite paper, tracing graphite paper, but okay. I found that I don't have any of that. I just use a pencil and trace regular tracing paper, put on top, and just trace the words out. And then on the tracing paper, then I turn the tracing paper over, and you apply graphite to the back. And since it's tracing paper, you need to do each letter individually. Or you could take the paper that you printed on and just put a whole bunch of graphite on the back and then just trace it from there to your thing. But the tracing paper lets you look and see where you're actually putting the letters. And I think that helps rather than trying to, you know, guess, well, am I going to cover up this and I don't want to, kind of thing. And then just retrace it, and then you can ink it.
I wonder if you could use transfer paper as well. There's the translucent transfer paper.
Who's talking?
That was Cherie.
Oh, Cherie. I'm not familiar with that. Are you talking about is it the iron-on stuff?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I've used before, and I've used it on with photographs.
Right.
But when you're using lettering, you've got the problem of things being backwards. So I'm not quite sure how that would work with lettering. I'm sure there's a fix for that.
You can mirror it.
Yes, right. Mm-hmm.
Here's a couple ideas that might be a little more quick and dirty. This is inkjet vellum paper, Vicki.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And this is what it looks like that. And if I put it over something, it's pretty transparent.
Right.
Cut it, you could, you know, glue it down. The other thing that I've done is there's a lens paper that you can get. It's very strong. This one was put through the typewriter. And I'll show you what that looks like over something. Once you glue it on, the white kind of goes away.
Yeah, the paper goes away, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't dissolve. It just is hidden by being attached to what's underneath it. Now,
Right.
this I did on a typewriter, but what I've also done is taken this stuff and taped it onto just regular copy paper and run it through the copier like that, because it's too thin to go through on its own. You'll kill your printer. And I think you've got one of those inkjet tank where you put, I remember seeing some post about it. I have the same exact printer that you have. I just tape it onto 8.5 by 11 with like artist tape that will stay on but can peel off easily. And I run it through, and then you can cut it or even tear it into whatever you want and then glue it. And I would suggest doing, taking some pieces of watercolor paper, putting some similar colors like you have in your booklet, and then playing around with putting this, gluing it on and seeing how you like it.
What
I
is
think
that paper you're referring
it's
to?
like a lens paper, and I believe you can get it at Hiromi paper, Hiromi.
Oh, Hiromi.
Yeah,
And
okay. So I think it's
called-
called lens paper.
Will you,
Yeah,
will you
I-
put it in the chat?
If I can find the name of it, I will. I would have to get up and dig around in my studio right now, so maybe I could send it in a group
Yeah.
email with
Yeah.
everybody like that. It'd be a little easier. But you might try, that's another suggestion.
Where do you find the inkjet vellum? I've been looking for that.
I found it on Amazon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just did Google search for inkjet vellum, and it came through really nice. This is just a trial that I was doing. I just was very careful to let it dry completely before I touched it or did anything. I don't know if you put water on it, what it would do.
Well,
Because
it
that would
doesn't
be-
work.
Yeah,
Doesn't-
probably. But I think if you, glue on the back, it'll be fine. Or I'm planning to stitch mine in, but I don't know.
Vicki, this is Diana.
Yeah.
And I have a couple of ideas. I like using hand lettering, and I don't know how we are for time, but if we're running out, if you email me, or we can have a phone conversation about different ways I cope with spacing and avoiding mistakes, because I don't particularly care to do printing. I like to do hand stuff, and the ideas I have might apply to printing also.
Okay, perfect. I'll give you a call.
I'm
Okay,
gonna cut
great.
that one, I'm gonna cut that off for right now, but I think this whole idea of printing versus writing and how do we print and how do we use our printers, it's endless, but it's also problems that we all have. I think we probably, as arts bookmakers, we all have problems with this. And there's gonna be an awful lot of knowledge in this group of different ways of doing things that others haven't thought about. So make some notes, you all. We could send them to Vicki, but we could also, with some note making, perhaps, have this as a topic, because it's a
Yeah.
big one.
That would be
When you're
great.
using words and you're using images, this is a huge, huge topic to cover, and how do we do it? And what works? Okay, let's move on to Michelle now.
I'm so glad Vicki brought that up, because that's exactly what I was going to talk about I'm printing everything on my printer and I'm looking for ideas. So I think we should have a whole get together and people just bring stuff they've printed on. So I'll tell you my journey and going through that same thing. So I'm working with the desert too, Lynn, this whole desert theme and the juxtaposition of how parched and dry and prickly and thorny the desert is, and how wonderful and beautiful and colorful with our sunsets and flowers. And so I'm working with the juxtaposition, and I'm also wanting to use my husband in my photos because he's an amazing photographer, and I'm just trying to figure out how to incorporate that. And as I was thinking last night, I thought, God, I still don't have a book yet, but I have a whole lot of samples and hundreds of pieces of paper printed with words and photos. And now I'm just starting to, okay, how does it all come together? So here's just a sample accordion book as I'm starting to put, and I'm learning poetry, like I'm not a poet, so I'm learning that too. But it's the same issue. It's okay, I'm just pasting words on the paper and I'm not liking and I've tried every vellum, tissue paper, lens paper, rice paper, and I'm still not getting something I like. So I think I was talking to Laura Russell and I said, you know what, why don't I just work with what I know, which is sewing. I was like, why can't I sew the words in my book? So this week I was like, oh, what if I sew on a piece of paper? So this is a really almost like a handmade paper feel, almost feels like fabric, but I can sew on it. So I was like, oh, and so this is really sloppy, but I was just like, now I'm just trying. Can I sew on it? So I sewed a word. And then yesterday, I just have all these scraps and I'm just sewing words on paper. And then I sewed words in a little cactus. And then I have this book that kind of handmade paper that I've sewed on before. And I'm working with now, can I sew photos? Like what can I print photos on? What kind of paper can I print photos on that I can still sew on?
What about printable fabric?
What's that?
Michelle, what about printable? There's a printable fabric. Have you thought
Yes,
of
and
that?
I've printed on muslin before, which works fine. It's beautiful. And I don't know what this paper is, but I made this tree fold book out of it. And it's like this fabric paper, and this will become a sewed on book. I haven't written the poem yet, but it's a tree fold. And then I can expand it. So obviously I haven't sewn on it, but the feel of this paper is really nice and I can sew on it. So now I have to write kind of my words so it fits. So I'm lots of experimenting right now. I had Doreen over and we did rust dyeing. This is that same paper. Folded, and it folds really nice. It actually holds the fold.
You know, there's a technique of also being able to write on your photos. And you might add the text to your photo before you print it.
Yeah, I've thought about that too. I love that, Mabel. So I'm still in the experimentation phase. I don't know what my book structure is. I don't have my poem yet because I'm learning book structures. I'm learning book folds. I'm learning poetry. I'm learning paper. So it's all new to me. So I'm still experimenting and I'm loving it. I'm just really having fun. And when I kind of latched onto I love sewing and art quilting. Well, why don't I just use what I know? Because I'm struggling with the same thing. How do I get printed? Because I'm not a printer. I don't have a printing press. I will learn that from Maria Lee in November, but I don't have it now. So how do I get the words on paper? So that's where I'm at right now.
Oh, fabulous. And I love all the experiments and the opening of your mind and sharing that with us and what you're doing in your work is tremendous. Thank you, Michelle. And I'm starting to wish now that maybe we need to get together in person pretty soon again. Because
we can feel stuff.
We can look and feel much better. But anyway, so we need to move on to Doreen next. But yeah, good segue there between people. And all of these things are important and concern all of us. So thanks. Doreen.
Okay, well, two things. One is that two things that have really helped me. One was, Anita, your prompts. And the other was this Poem Crazy book that I actually heard about from our first meeting at Joe's house. And thank you, Lynn, for that, because that just really opened up a whole new world for me. So Michelle and I are collaborating on a book. And so we're working off of this poem that I wrote. And it's titled A Tale Unfolding. Dancing on the page, stopping time, capturing moments, rooted together we three, dark, difficult wait, coming on a blustery winter's morn, gentle whispers holding the chill at bay. Memories like lightning thundering through our minds, words upon words, stories we weave, laughter, tears, organized chaos, reality sweeping us through our days. And then I have to share with you that this morning, I saw this piece of paper sitting on my counter, and I asked my husband, I said, what's that paper doing there? Because I expected it, to be thrown away. He says, well, take a look at it. And inside of this candy wrapper was a poem by Robert Browning. So you just never know where you're going to find a poem.
Fun.
So that's what I have to share today.
Thank you. That was good. Brief comments, anybody?
For me, that poem invoked a landscape, a vast kind of landscape. It was nice to feel just this wide openness of sharing with friends or family. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, it was very bright. I had a sensation of, actually, it helped me think of a title for some of the short things I've been doing. So thank you, Doreen.
Great. Thank you very much. Good. It's so nice to hear people's writing, and it's so much a part of who they are and what they think about. And so thank you so much, Doreen. Now, are you going to put it into a book?
Yes, Michelle, that's going to be, Michelle and I are collaborating on a
What
book.
will be your collaboration book?
Yeah, that's the one. And Michelle, do you have the paper that we're going to use for that? Could you share that?
Yep. Well, I'll get it because it's in the other room, but I'll share it before we leave.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Great. Okay. So we're going to move on to Judy now.
Okay. Well, I ended up working backwards from what all you are doing. It's my background is mostly the image, and I haven't even figured out what the words are going to be or what the title is, but I have a couple ideas. I want to run them by you, and I'd like your thoughts. So should we go over there?
You want to do this one first since it's right here? Or the other one?
Yeah, the other one. So whenever I go,
Let's see. I hope this works. It's a very long book.
so can you hear me talk?
Yeah.
Now we can hear you.
Okay, so whenever I go to other countries or traveling, I always go to art stores and art supply stores and paper stores. And I found this beautiful Chinese book in Hong Kong in October 2019. So I was there right before COVID hit. And so that kind of has something going on there. And then the pages are beautiful red, orange, flecked with gold and silver. And I already have attached my paintings on it because I can't stand to have it all in pieces. I just wanted to go for it. So these are hand colored photos, and I use gouache. And so I have them here in an accordion style book. And so underneath or around it, I need to put some words. At first I was thinking, kind of like a yearbook page, but where they predict things about you, most likely to be in prison or something, but other words for this one, for instance, I was thinking of the word reticence. I am wondering about the words and what to say and what to have on there, because I think the photos evoke stories. So I'm kind of thinking of it being a platform for stories of these people.
Judy, your image there just brought up a thought to me. We're artists and we always think image first.
Yes, that's what I do.
And wondering what would happen is if we took our words and put them on the page first and then added the image afterwards, what that would do to the book or to the piece. I have never thought about that before, but looking at those images first and then fitting the words into the image, we really would ideally want to blend the word and the image. So it's just an idea that, thanks for showing us that, because I had just never thought about that before. It's scary in a way.
Judy, are those photos you took on your trips and you printed them out and then you're hand painting them with gouache?
You know, I taught photography.
Oops, sorry about my thumb.
I taught photography for many years when I was an art teacher at St. Gregory. And at the end, I ended up with all these photos that the students took. And so I started just taking gouache paintings and gouache paint and just started coloring over them and leaving some parts out.
Judy, when you mentioned that the one image, the one portrait made you think of reticence, that just immediately popped into my mind. Like each person's face could make you think of a word. And instead of like having a paragraph or lines and lines of text, it would be so interesting, because the minute you said that and I saw his face, I was like, oh, how mysterious. And then my mind started filling in all the blanks. And then as you were scrolling through, I kind of had words popping in my head. I'm not going to say what they are because it's your work, but of each person's face, and thought how interesting if they were all described with like one word, especially when you were saying most likely to, and then I was thinking, ooh, and like one word in there, and let the imagination of the viewer take over from there.
I had a question, or with each photo, I would put a question. Each photo I saw there, I had, gee, what if this person was? Or I wonder, but a question with each portrait.
Okay, those are good
Uh,
ideas.
Connie, this reminds me of your work from last month where the person was speaking for herself. And just to add on to this idea of a question, what if each one of these photo people had a question for the reader that has something to do with their story?
I like that idea.
But the idea of a question will draw the viewers into the work. There is no question about that.
No question.
Interesting, but wow. The portrait, I mean, it's like a portrait gallery that you have, Judy. It's incredible, yeah. And the way you colored them probably will have something to do with their questions or their stories that they want to tell.
True, yes.
Uh-huh.
So one of my ideas, thank you very much. One of my ideas for the title, I was thinking of lessons from the past. But I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. So those are things I'm trying to figure out. I do like your ideas that can help me.
Should we look at the other book?
Okay, you've got an incredible beginning there. No question about that. Right. Okay, we need to move on to, let's see, Diana, so that'll give us enough time for Diana and a couple minutes maybe left over. We'll see.
Okay, well, I have a question. I have worked for many years on, just off and on, but I don't know how many of these, of long, narrow pieces. Let's see, this is, I don't know if you can see it, but
You can see it. Yes.
Narrow. It's about 5 inches high by a couple feet long. And my question is, I thought it'd be fun to somehow make them so that you could hang them. So put this, for instance, is paper glued to a muslin type of cloth. Some of them are all paper. but what kind of, and some of them are very interesting on the back too. So I guess I'm asking if anybody has any ideas on how to make little hooks on the back somehow. I mean, they're long enough so that you'd probably need, at least 3 hooks. And then they could be rolled, which of course presents problems if the hanging hooks have, body to them. It's then the rolling of them isn't going, it might be too thick at the top, but it could also be an accordion structure perhaps, or just something. And would there be any way to make it so that you could actually see the front and see the back? So that's my question, and I would appreciate any thoughts on that.
What I this is Cherie, what I immediately thought of when you held that up was either an accordion style or doing like a scroll type of thing where it could be rolled and unrolled.
Right.
And that way you can see both the front and the back.
Yeah, and then what do I use for hanging?
You can make a thread or a yarn or something at each end. So it could be free hanging. I've done some calligraphy work that way, and I did it as a scroll.
Okay.
Diana, I immediately saw it as a mobile. And
yes,
they have a triangle thread with a different length on it, so they were hanging in varied lengths. And then you'd probably have to include some kind of box that it can all collapse into for storage for someone. But I thought as something that could actually move, almost like a watery thing.
Okay, that's good.
I'm wondering if, for instance, in a display case, this would be up to the people that are doing the display, of course, but if you had some way to just temporary way to attach it to the top of the display case and it would hang as a mobile, wow. I'm sure people have done that. I don't know that I've ever seen it, but.
Yeah, I know that Tohono Chul oftentimes has hung people in their plastic cases.
Yeah.
You could put eyelets in where you want the strings to go, and then hook them that way.
And it could even be fabric eyelets, out of thread or yarn or something, so it wouldn't be hard.
Right.
But the restriction
like an embroidery stitch, the buttonhole embroidery stitch that you could use
something like that.
Right.
The restriction of size for this exhibit might limit if you could use that particular strip size.
Right. I was just using it as an example to get people thinking about what my problem was. Well, those are good ideas, and thank you. Does anybody else have any suggestions, ideas, no matter how off the wall? Okay, that's it. Thanks, everybody.
Are you, Diana, are you working on a book for the exhibit in the spring at the Poetry Center? Yeah.
Oh, boy. Yes.
Maybe you have one. You may have one already.
Well, I do. What can I say? Yes, I have lots of books running around, and I don't know which one is going to pop out from the herd and say, you need to enter me in the poetry show. I always work on way too many things at the same time.
I'm with you on that, Diana.
Yeah, I'm easily distracted, and I tend to have more ideas than I have time for, and I think, oh, that's such a great idea. I think I'll start it, and then wait, there's this other book that is a really great idea, and it's only halfway done.
That's a wonderful problem to have.
One way to move into that problem is to maybe pick one or two and just devote a little time to make a little mock-up. So you spend more time with the one versus, oh, I'm overwhelmed by the 6 ideas I have. And just like take your top 2, make a little mock-up, or even all the ideas that you got today about how to hang it. Maybe try the cotton thread one, try the little eyelet one, or, and just see, and that might lead you to the next step of like, oh, I can actually finish this and do it, versus being scattered and not knowing where to start.
It's not, the problem isn't knowing where to start. The problem is keeping going on the same project until it's done.
To finish, right?
Oh, yes.
But
Yes.
it keeps my
I
life.
can relate.
I think this is great fun, and I love that you have those pieces, and I love that everyone shared today. It's so inspirational, and I'm excited about all your books, and I want to hear from everyone else. So I don't know, maybe next month we meet in person somewhere, and I won't bring my hat then, but just a thought. What do you think?
Yes.
It's some,
But I love Maria's idea when the group got together and we did the little book exchange, and she was saying, take one concept and do it in 3 different book structures. And that was really helpful for me.
Yeah.
To really, kind of think that through, force myself to think that through. This has been such a great meeting. I'm just always so inspired by the group and by the hats.
Yes.
Great.
Oh, and Vicky, I was able to find that link. I don't know if you saw, I put it in the chat before it gets shut down. It's there.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate that.
Welcome.
So speaking
some
of
of that, Lynn.
restrictions, is there a place to find out what the size restrictions are? Did you guys already send that out, Joe and Anita?
I think it's on the website right now.
Okay.
With the amount of information we have ready at this point. And I believe in August, we'll have the detailed call ready. So that's where we're at.
It's 15 by 15 by 15 max.
Okay.
It should display. It may be bigger than that, but if it can fall down to that and still display well, great. So 15 by 15 by 15, and smaller, of course, whatever scale or proportions you want.
And there is something else to think about in the display. There's a long area where works could be outside of a case, and we'll probably have a place on the call to artists for you to pick if you are willing to have your book, not encased, but kind of out there for people to look at up close. So that'll give us more exhibit space as well.
And we're also considering a meeting at the Poetry Center. We were thinking after the first Paperworks general meeting, perhaps, so that anybody from the general meeting could also join, but to see the display cases, and perhaps the people there might have a few words for us. So that's kind of in the works, isn't it, Joe? Is that going to be, well, that's going to be in the works. So
I have not heard back yet, but
yeah, they're going to be busy, but I'm sure that, so that's always fun, and it's fun to get together too.
And go on the Poetry Center website. There's a lot of great information. And also, I believe they're opening in August, so anyone can go over there and just visit and look through and see the display cases. And I believe they'll open with something displayed so you can kind of see the furniture. That's what they call the things that help set up books.
August 17th is the official, I think, U of A is opening up.
Yeah.
August 8th, 17th.
Yep. Classes start.
Hey,
So
I
that's something, yeah.
Anita, because I think some people are confused about the size. And it does say on the Paperworks website, 15 by 15 by 15 display size. So in other words, Judy's book that she just showed as an accordion, I mean, it could be shown as like, kind of a star book, and it would collapse down. So that's what you're talking about, right? So fitting
Right.
in the case.
So if you have, and Vicky, or anybody with the accordion, it may, if you stretch it out flat, it may be, who knows, 2 feet or more. But
Right.
once we fold it some, and you can still perhaps see in, peek in, and read in and see, then it has to be no bigger than 15. But yes, you can take an accordion, for instance, and you can put it in a spiral to fit those dimensions. Any way that, you know, works to fold it, to display it. And the reason that we're having it that is so that we can get more work can be accepted into the exhibit and shown. So yeah, so that's, we're gonna have to go by that, not knowing how many works we'll get, entries and juried into the show to make sure. And I also think it's just nice to give the works a little bit of space so that people can see them and they're not crowded and jammed. So, but you know, work in progress, this is. The exhibit will be until it's mounted and displayed. But it's exciting. The Poetry Center, I know, is very excited about having us again, very, very excited. And so I can't wait. I can't wait.
Anita, we were gonna try to get the official call to entry out on an email before the end of August, right? That's gonna have all the parameters.
Official entry, submission, all the guidelines, requirements, etc. Yeah. So that'll be in August. Yeah. Sherry and I are working on that. Okay, it is 11:02. Let's let everybody go about their lives, and a lot of ideas. If anybody also, feel free to email any of us if you have ideas for the Zoom meetings or getting together, stuff like that in between now and when we do September. Let's think about that, as well as any other ideas about the questions and the works that we saw today. But I agree with Joe. Yes, this was fabulous.
Thank you.
It gets all of our minds just to even work on other people's problems and questions. It opens our minds for our own work in very different ways. So thank you so much, all of you, for attending.
Thank you, Anita. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
For sharing very much.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
See you. Okay, bye.